Yes, except I clicked the wrong date.
Oh, okay.
All right, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. If I can have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Do we still have her on here? I can't tell. Okay, I didn't hear if she, I can't hear if she's.
I said aye.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? No? Okay. No announcements. And I'm sure you guys already know the routine, but I will somewhat repeat it. This is the board's meeting in public, not a public meeting. We will take public input. Everybody that speaks will have 3 minutes to speak. Please don't mention persons by name, and try and be as cordial as possible. All right, public input. Did we have
Those two.
just these two? Was there anybody that wanted to give public input but did not have the time to fill out one of the forms? No? Okay. Betty Mobbs?
And would you like me to stand right here?
Right here at the podium's fine, and if
that
you
mic
can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the Lakeland School Board 272 in the year of 2026, along with interim superintendent, Mr. Jake Massey, and all of you who are in attendance. My name is Betty Mobbs. First and foremost, I am not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. Why? Because God gave me free will, and I am an independent thinker. My Lakeland roots run deep. My husband, John, is a 1975 Lakeland grad. Our sons, 2002, 2005. My daughter-in-law is 2003, 2004. Our oldest grandson, 2024. Our next grandson will graduate 2026. Beginning next year, all 7 of our grandchildren will attend or have graduated from Lakeland. A Mobbs has attended Lakeland since 1972. As of 2026, that is 54 years. In addition, I was hired by Archie Russell, Jack Durning, and Superintendent Richard Snook in 1980, the year of Mount St. Helens. I would spend the next 33 years of my life loving, teaching, advocating for God's creation, His children. I was Matthew Neff's first grade teacher. I taught with Betty Kiefer. I taught her grandchildren. I was Lisa Sexton Arnold's mentor when she was the new hire. I was Ashley Sapp and Amanda Kiefer's master teacher. I have attended graduations, marriages, celebrations, and life for parents, students, and fellow teachers. That is why I care so deeply for our Lakeland School District community. My last 6 years of teaching, I served, yes, I served, as a board member at Holy Family School, Coeur d'Alene. Ironically, I was trained by the Idaho Department of Education how to be a school board member. Imagine that. The greatest attribute of Lakeland School District is our community and the relationships created and forged. The relationship between the board and our Lakeland community has been breached. I highly encourage you to look that up. And bullied and broken. We can agree that there is no place for bullying in our school district. Because our beloved school community has been breached, compromised deeply by the leadership of this 2026 board, I kindly ask for each and every one of you to resign. Mr. Massey, I ask and pray for you to stand courageously in the gap, just as I stood in the gap in my first grade classroom door at Ethel Elementary in 1980. There, I physically blocked an angry 6'4" dad from entering the classroom. His goal was to berate a first grader in my classroom over a bus issue. Mr. Massey, stand in this unfathomable gap with courage, supernatural strength. Do not be distracted. Be present for principals. Assist principals to hire the cream of the crop. Encourage principals to show up for teachers. Champion teachers who can champion their students. Stand courageously in this gap. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Ms. Mobbs want to leave any of that with the board for the record?
Have anything in writing that you wanted to leave with us?
I can give you a copy of mine. This is the only copy I have, so I'm happy to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next we have Chuck Kinsey.
Thank you. My name is Chuck Kinsey. I've resided in the Lakeland Joint School District for more than 40 years. Have a long career in education, much of it here in Lakeland. I've had experience working with multiple school boards and in different districts. And I continue to serve on education-related governing boards at both the state level and local level. I understand the role of a governing board, and particularly a school board. And I understand the difficulties that it is for a trustee. A school board has three main responsibilities: adopt policy to establish the direction of the district, provide fiscal oversight, and hire the superintendent to provide professional leadership. This board has failed in all three of those responsibilities. Instead of policies providing direction, the policies show a lack of respect for professional staff and demonstrate board micromanagement. Fiscal responsibilities have been abandoned as the board spends recklessly on legal fees and foolishly pays the superintendent for not working. Reportedly, these actions will cost the district $200,000, maybe $300,000. Placing the superintendent on paid leave without cause shortly after authorizing a needed plant facilities levy almost guaranteed the failure of this levy. And obviously and of course it did fail. And obviously with 3 superintendents in 4 years, and the last superintendent being released after 8 months, the responsibility to hire a professional leader has been ridiculously mishandled. I'm sure some board members could try to provide some justification, but the real point is that the board actions have contributed to dividing the community and destroying the positive support that this district had earned and for which it has been recognized. Most importantly, this divisiveness is to the detriment of our students. With this in mind, the board must develop a plan supported by the community and developed with staff and community input to address this divide. If the trustees are not able or not willing to develop a plan to bring this community together, they should resign their positions and allow new individuals the opportunity to resolve the problems that this board has created. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have any written copy you want to leave with the board, Mr. Kinsey?
I can leave a copy with the clerk, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Was there anybody else who would like to address the board before we continue? Okay, we will move forward to reports. Board report for the interim superintendent. Do we have any questions or comments or anything? None? Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Thank you, Jake.
Of course.
Monthly financial report. Any questions or comments? Let me do this since our agenda is quite lengthy. Does anybody have any questions or need clarification on any of the reports that we have on the agenda. Financials, facilities, federal programs, nutrition, technology, or transportation.
Gotta double check, make sure I don't have any notes on
Yeah.
any of these. Real quick. I don't think I do. They were all pretty.
And don't feel rushed, you can take your time. I just figured it was long, we're gonna try and minimize some of the time. Thanks to everybody though who provided the reports.
Yeah,
I
this
appreciate,
is
and they're thorough.
awesome.
They're-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why, as time goes on, we have less and less questions because of the thoroughness of the reporting, which has been great.
I do not.
I'm good.
You're good too. You have any questions? Nope, okay. All right, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Were there any corrections to the meeting notes as provided?
Just one on the April 15th
Okay.
regular board meeting. Mr. Randy Boyd's name is spelled B-O-T-D instead of Boyd, B-O-Y-D. So we could correct that.
Yep.
Other than that, nope, we're good.
Okay. Any other input on the minutes?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We'll move on to the minutes of the subcommittees, meetings, and workshops. Does anybody have any input on any of those?
No, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda the rest of the consent agenda as a whole, unless somebody had questions on the HR items or the bills lists.
All right, so,
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion for approving the consent agenda as provided?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Vice Chair Grissom,
Yes.
there is an issue on the 429 special board meeting minutes.
Okay,
There were a few other things, but I can't find them that quickly. On the 429 special board meeting minutes, you are not listed in attendance. However, you are making several motions within the minutes. So we need clarification whether or not you were present. So I'm assuming you were. It was the Wednesday, April 30th special board meeting.
yes.
Okay.
You said
So-
429 though? I'm listed in the 429 meeting.
I'm sorry?
Did you say the 429 meeting minutes?
Yes, the 429-26 special board meeting minutes.
The copy I have on the agenda, I am listed in it.
The copy I have, you're not.
Oh, really?
You're not listed in the call meeting to order as present, but yet you are listed to approve the agenda as the motion grant
Okay,
that you gave the motion. So I wasn't, that needs to be rectified
yeah,
on the
well,
minute.
okay, we will make note of that because like I said, the copy I'm looking at, I'm on it, so I'm not sure.
On
What?
429?
Yeah, 429 special board meeting motion, Vice Chair Grissom moved to approve the agenda.
Yeah, but in
Correct.
attendance list, you're not listed.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, in the attendance, I'm all
Who was
over
in
that.
attendance, yeah.
Oh, yes, 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 you're right. Okay, I stand corrected. So the 429 special board meeting minutes, it's just a clerical admin, that's fine. You don't need
Correct.
a motion for that. Okay,
Thank you.
yep, thank you. If I go too fast, just tell me, because I have a habit to breeze through.
Not worry.
Yep, so go ahead and speak up. All right, so back to the HR items. Is that where we left off? Sorry, guys.
Nope, we just approved the entire consent agenda, so
Oh,
we're
yeah,
down
we're
to
back
action
down to
items.
the.
Right.
Okay, so supplemental materials.
It's a nice short list for you this month.
Yeah, did anybody have any comments or questions about the supplemental materials?
No, and it was nice because we could just read them. They were
Yeah.
right there, the whole thing, yeah. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Course approval for the art appreciation, which had a very nice scope and sequence attached.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Super
this-
thorough.
This teacher did a great job putting this
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Mr. Massey, on the textbook,
Yep.
when I checked our approved curriculum, I don't see that. Is this a book that we do have, that we have approved?
Yes, yeah, and I can double check that list and make sure that it's accurate. This is a textbook that we've actually had in use for, I want to say more than 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And so it's actually currently being used for an art course right now.
Okay, well, perfect. If it can just make its way to the list, because
Yep.
it didn't state whether it was a new book or a current curriculum that we had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any more input or discussion for the art appreciation
No.
of Timberlake High School?
No,
They're getting a great class. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And then we have the course proposal of Tiger Stripes at Timberlake Middle School.
I do want to acknowledge I mistakenly uploaded a virtually blank document there as the first one, and so I just want to clarify that was not Sarah's error, that was mine.
Okay. Did anybody have any comment or question or need further clarification, any discussion?
Nope.
There's nothing within his purpose, service, and self-leadership. He talks about that the curriculum is basically to be determined. But then he does list, Mr. Sapp lists, I believe, 4 books,
Mhm.
of which I could only find one of them on our curriculum list. It doesn't mean that they're not all there, they just weren't there. Does he intend to introduce others that nobody's giving approval to, or
No.
do we know?
No, my understanding of this is that because the course is somewhat project-based, there were some gaps purposefully left in this so that students would have the opportunity to work on those projects. And so the only resources that I believe we would need to approve, if this course is approved, are those that are listed.
Say that again?
So I do want to acknowledge that if we approve this course, we would need to go back and approve
The curriculum.
the
books.
textbooks that he would be
Okay.
referring to. And not all of them are textbooks, some of them are just other texts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what he listed in there were 4 novels, and I could only find one of them on the approved list. But again, that doesn't mean that the others haven't been. Maybe the list wasn't updated.
Right.
So I think there should be some clarification on that.
Okay. I can certainly find clarification. Are there any other concerns, or would there be a concern with approving it pending that we had all of the books approved?
I would move to approve pending approval of the texts.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second with the understanding that the textbooks come for the approval. Okay, I'll enter, are any in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next is the NIC Dual Credit Partnership and the NIC MOU.
So the NIC MOU for 26-27 is actually the dual credit program partnership agreement, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it is virtually identical to the agreement that we have had in place.
Yeah, I didn't compare the two, did you? Were you aware of any particular changes, or?
Just the dates.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I didn't look at it, but when I read it, I was like,
Yep.
didn't we just read this?
Yep. Yep. It is exactly the same as last year's.
Okay, any more discussion on NIC's dual credit MOU or partnership?
I do not.
Nope.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Oh.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And we have the MOU for the city of Rathdrum. We have a hiccup in the motion with the parking lot.
That's another one down the
Yeah.
agenda. So this, Jessica Grantham, Chief Finance Officer, the board had previously approved the work for the John Brown parking lot.
Right.
This is just a MOU to formalize that agreement with the city. We'll pay the city, they'll pay the contractor, is essentially what the agreement is for.
Right. But this is the same parking lot, or no?
No,
it's
this
not?
is just for John
Next
This
Brown.
is
door.
John Brown.
Oh,
This
okay.
is right here where the tree was and all
Okay.
that.
Since they're
Yes.
redoing Washington Street this
Right.
summer, they had put out to bid our parking lot for us. It is a great price for what we were able to accomplish there.
Okay.
And the board had
Do we-
previously approved that.
Do we have any, it states within here that Rathdrum will approve and sign contract addendums and change orders, which obviously could potentially impact what Lakeland is required to pay the city. Do we not have any oversight or any input on that?
If it's in relation to our part of the project, yes, we do. Tim's been,
Not according to this MOU. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it says any change orders, Rathdrum keeps the authority.
Right.
Yeah. Contract amendments.
so based on the board authorization, the only thing that we have committed to is the price that was in the contract for the bid that we accepted.
Okay.
So
Will the company be bonding for the work to benefit the district?
the company is bonding for the entire project through the city.
So
And then
not
if we-
for the work that they're going to do for Lakeland?
Yes, that'll be part of the addendum, so it's covered under the original scope. So they're bonding the entire project.
Okay,
It will not be a separate bond to Lakeland.
okay.
This agreement is for Lakeland to pay the city our agreed upon amount.
For our
I
portion of the-
For our
I
portion
do
of it.
understand that. I'm just cautious by the fact that the city is going to have absolute and total control over the amendments and change orders, should there be any. And while we are agreeing to a certain amount, we all know with respect to change orders and addendums where that can go, on top of the fact that I don't know what our assurance is that we're, we're agreeing to the 29,000, but if it goes up to 35 or 40, on top of the fact that if they do a poor job, what is our recourse?
They specifically spell out the dollar amount, so if there's a change to that, they would have to issue a new MOU or an MOU amendment.
Not according to this. There's nowhere in here that says upon issuance of a change order or an addendum or any financial increase that it needs to be run by the school.
But they're specifically stating under the financial reimbursement, the dollar amount that we're expected to contribute. So if there's a change to that dollar amount, I would expect to see a contract amendment.
It does say,
Yeah, the contract amendment,
Yes.
the procedures, it does say contract amendments, once Lakeland's portion of work has been included in the project via CO, which is us, that's what we're approving right here. Any additional contract amendments or COs that relate to or affect Lakeland's portion of the work shall be sent to Lakeland. So yes, we are covered.
Okay, where is that?
Under procedures, it's number 4.
It's number 4?
On
Okay,
page
thank
3.
you. Yep, right there.
I will move to approve.
Second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right, I will entertain, or all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so the next we have, the plant facility levy reallocation request. Can you bring us up to speed on this? What are we doing? We're just finishing what we already had done before.
Yeah, so we're finishing up what we had done before. We had a couple projects that were approved for flooring. We have obtained appropriate quotes for those.
Okay.
We also had some emergent issues that came forward. One of them is the Lakeland High School boiler, and the other is the Timberlake High School track pit. Facility directors Tim Haig can speak to those more in depth. They are very emergent issues that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, Tim Haig, Facilities Director. So the Lakeland boiler is reached its life expectancy. And we have the opportunity to change it out now. And so we've obtained bids for that, but it will need a dual boiler system, which is basically the same boiler we put in Twin Lakes Elementary, but we need 2 of them side by side in parallel to replace the 3 stacks that they have now. 1, it's going to be more efficient, and 2, it'll have the highest CFM to cover the entire school, which is better than what they have now, but it's essentially it's a 1-for-1 swap with just a newer upgraded system. And if we can get that put in now, then as we're doing the modernization projects, all the air handlers and everything that feed from the boiler are going to all be new at the same time.
Okay.
You want to speak to the track?
And then the track, it's the long jump run
Okay.
pit. Yes. It currently is not, kids should not run on it right now. It's pretty beat up, it's got holes, it's come apart. Honestly, they are not going to be able to run on it next year at all. So we were able to find some funds from other projects that basically finished under budget, didn't get completed to the full dollar amount that was approved. It's a $38,000 repair that is going to actually allow them to utilize this pit next year.
Okay.
So essentially what we did, we had quite a few line items that had just a little bit of money left in them, or the project came in a lot under budget. For example, the window film project, we had budgeted $75,000 for it. It only was about 20, I believe, if I'm recalling the number off the top of my head. So we're trying to close out some of those line items that we no longer need funding for and collapse them to make room to do the boiler and the pit, the track pit at Timberlake High School. Additionally, we had the line item for Betty Keeper carpet. That was not enough to do the carpet, so kind of doing a little bit of change there. Although in light of the plant facility levy not passing last night, we would potentially change our recommendation to complete the boiler and complete the track pit repair, but maybe hold off on the flooring in case of emergency next year. Since we do not have any funding in the general fund based on our funding level to take on emergency projects like a boiler repair next year.
Is the track pit, is this a permanent repair or is it a Band-Aid?
No, it's a permanent repair.
Okay.
They will not be able to use that track pit next year
Yeah.
if we do not fix it.
But they'll be able to use it for years to come.
Correct. Yeah.
And the boilers, it's a dual boiler, so does it time share or does it just run one
No, yeah,
as a primary and then until it wears out or
No.
until it's needed for the second?
so when they run in parallel, there's a 5-boiler system in each one, and they're computer programmed to cycle through so that they're all getting equal use. So it's not just using one stack and the other one sits.
So
They'll
then-
cycle through.
So then they'll both wear out, or they'll all wear out about the same time?
Correct.
Eventually.
Yeah. And we should get a good, 20 years out of those. It's basically the same one we just put in Twin Lakes. High efficiency gas boiler system.
Now, that boiler system wouldn't be covered under the modernization funds,
It was not part of the original scope.
but it would be covered underneath of it.
Right.
Underneath that funding.
I will say how we are able to accomplish it at a cheaper price than if we were to incorporate it into the modernization funds project.
Yes. I've talked to Geno Construction, I've had Legacy come out and look at it, I've had Atlas Boiler come out and look at it. So we can actually purchase the equipment direct from the manufacturer and save on the markup. Basically the same thing we did with Twin Lakes. We buy the boiler, we get it delivered, and then Atlas can install it. We're not paying any kind of markup and overhead, we're just paying it direct. And they'll work hand in hand with Geno Construction and Legacy when they're doing the rest of our HVAC system so that we're not complicating anything in the installation.
So it's the most cost-effective
It is.
option to do it this way.
And then doing it that way, how does it affect warranty? So we're buying directly from the manufacturer, we just have a manufacturer's warranty, but the contractor just covers their work?
It's the same as Twin Lakes. So
Okay.
we'll have the manufacturer's warranty, which we would get if somebody else bought it and installed it. And then we also get the labor warranty as well, installation warranty,
Yeah.
just like we did at Twin.
Yeah. And then what is the other schools looking like that as far as these systems? I mean, who else is getting close? Because I'm under the impression that it's not broken, but we're trying to do these two things together because they go together.
Correct.
And so next winter, in the middle of winter, we're not saying, oops, the boiler.
The boiler at Lakeland High School has to be replaced if
Yeah.
it's broken.
It went out a couple years ago.
Right.
We patched it together.
Okay.
Everyone that's looked at it said it has less than a life, 1 year.
Yeah.
So if that was the case, why was it not on the modernization list?
The modernization list was created in 2024.
But if it went out a couple years ago,
When we limped it back together.
And
It was-
they had it up and running, and now it's given us problems again.
And what is the cost of that, the boiler itself?
So-
I just closed it.
The
162.
boiler, I left a little bit of a contingency in the line item, so if you add the two invoices together, it's a little, what we're asking for budget approval is a little bit more just in case of small adjustments. So we're asking for $162,000 for the Lakeland High School boiler and $40,000 for the Timberlake High School track pit replacement.
and this is to have the track doctor fix the pit?
Yes, and the track doctor is under new ownership.
Does that mean they're, what?
Well, they gave us shoddy work on the Lakeland track
Correct.
a few years ago that we. Yeah.
My only hesitation in it, I understand why you want to do it, I get all that. I understand if we do it under the modernization funds, it'll cost more. But if we run into an emergency, we can't take the modernization funds to deal with the emergency. So the money that we have, you know, we're covering something that could be covered under the modernization funds.
If that's the direction of the board, we'd be happy to work with Jenna to create a change order for that and let the board know the difference. We're just trying to make sure that we can do it in a timely manner.
A change order? Why
it would-
would we have a change order? We haven't approved anything. You mean a requoted or?
So
The
it-
boiler?
If you wanted us to include it in the modernization
Oh,
funds,
right.
our contract is with Jenna for that.
Right, right.
So we would have to ask them to do a change order for that
Right.
and get us the pricing on it.
Yep, okay.
I just am concerned about the timeliness of it because they are starting that project on June 8th.
Mhm.
Jessica,
Yes.
with the reallocation of $202,000, we would then still have $565,502.93 still unallocated, is that correct?
We would essentially just have the carpet that's unallocated, because the other funds that are in progress are still in progress. So I'm trying to pull it really quick, I apologize. So the carpet would be $360,000 that would be left unallocated. The other dollar amounts are in line items that are currently being worked on.
Any more discussion, clarification, input? All right, I will entertain a motion. Did you have another question?
What's the time factor if we do have change order requests on that? I mean, June 8th is like tomorrow, but
Yeah, I wish.
virtually tomorrow.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
They would have to go through the same process we did and procure the bids and then write up a change order and send it off to us.
And then that would require board approval.
And then we'd bring it back to the next board meeting, hopefully. It would get done by, when is
The
it?
next board meeting is June 17th.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. So it's 20 days from now, 20-some days from now, including weekends, so about 3 weeks, until June 8th. And if that was the case, we could always have, you know, tack it on to one of our other meetings and do the approval like we've done in the past, if the board chooses to do that, but. All right. Anybody else have any other questions or?
Any kind of a ballpark on, what is the typical markup for materials or whatever for the general contractor?
So markup on materials can be 10 to 20%, and then we have a contract with Geno as far as their percentage, which is.
And then there's insurance and stuff that goes on it as well.
Correct.
Insurance.
Yes, it's part of their fees.
Part of their overhead fees.
So that adds up to, well, what is their percentage then?
7.25.
Right.
So how much are we saving by doing it this way?
I
Essentially,
guess that's where I was going.
yeah, the markup amounts, she's gonna,
I'm gonna try and math in my head real quick.
Sorry. You're fine.
With the concrete projects that are on here that still show a dollar amount, that's not actually coming out of the general fund, is it? That's coming against the bond?
That's coming, this is the plant facility levy, so Fund 420. That money is still in reserve. How it works with the surety company is once they decide, once we finish going back and forth with them, we are potentially going to have to use that funding to pay the difference between, because that was still in retainage on the project, what we had committed to pay the contractor. And so that money is still obligated towards the concrete. Whatever they determine that the district will receive from the surety will be less what we had in retainage for that project, what was left on the contract for that project, minus any additional legal fees that we've incurred, and then the architect fee for their assistance in dealing with all the bond documents. So that money unfortunately cannot be repurposed at this time as it's still tied up in contract.
That I understand. What I'm trying to figure out is when we get down at the end of the road, there should potentially be money left over, correct?
No, we will be required to use that money to help pay for what was left of the project in addition to what we received from the surety company.
Okay.
so essentially, what we would be saving by doing the boiler project in-house versus going to Geno is approximately 45,000.
We think, we don't know.
That's
we
why I
think.
mean approximate.
Right. Yeah, I wish we'd looked at both of it before we got this far with it, so we had a better idea, because we don't really know.
The fun thing about emergency.
All right, any further discussion on the reallocating?
No, I will move to approve the boiler replacement.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion, questions?
No more Band-Aids available?
I wish.
I've kept a boiler running for 30 years in my old house, and I know what that's like.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Would you like us to seek additional quotes on the track?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
should, see who else also. Do we have people in that, like in the co-op? Are there people that
There's
do-
very few
Yeah.
companies that do it.
They're
Like elevator workers?
Colorado,
Yeah, so this
East
one's
Coast.
Yeah.
Southern Idaho. It's the closest one to us. Be
Okay.
happy to seek other quotes for them. Like Tim said, it's a new owner. He came up and walked Lakeland High School's track with them. He's very gung-ho to make sure that the company is doing things correctly. We will definitely seek other quotes for it. I just know that they're not going to be able to use it to compete next year
Right,
at all.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
With the levy failure, do we need to start saying, well, okay, we can't have this part of this, like this long jump, track, things like that? Can we?
It's always an option. Students can be for that portion of track or for the entire track team. They could share Lakeland's track, or we could try to find another space for them. It's difficult to have two high schools share a track, but we can figure out how to make that work. But that's the reality of what we're looking at with the track, especially the cracks in the track up at Timberlake High School. That replacement was definitely needed.
Yeah.
Without the funding for it, we are going to have to start looking at creative ideas.
Do we have anything left in the other levy? Sorry, my brain's tired.
The supplemental.
Supplemental levy, because
No.
we did have sports listed on that, okay.
No, there's not enough to take care of this.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, I mean, the state doesn't, they don't fund sports
Yep,
at all.
and the
Anything to do
modernization
with
funds
it.
was not allowed to be used for
Oh,
any
yeah, I'm sure, 'cause that
athletic
was-
facilities.
Yeah, that's not a
Yep.
legal thing, you can't do it, they explicitly say so. All right,
Can I ask one more clarifying
Yeah.
question?
Mhm.
Since we did not approve the flooring projects, would the board like to entertain repurposing that as an emergency line instead of leaving it in a flooring project line?
well, I think we can always, I mean, in my opinion, we can always have that discussion, whether we're ready to make that decision tonight. I'm not sure we have a lot of financial discussions we need to have, you know, in light of last night, see what we're gonna do going forward. But I'll leave that if the board wants to do it now, or I would think we put this all together and have a discussion on all of it together, kind of thing.
That's those three line items are essentially all that's left in the plant facility levy that's not in progress right now. And I guess the track pit replacement.
Yeah. I would say to wait, because I think we need to look at the list that you guys, that we all collaborated on to do for the levy. I mean, it's not a big amount of money, but
It's not. It's enough to replace a boiler or two.
yeah, you know. But maybe we should look at our list and see if there's anything, a roof leak, something else like that, you know, maybe we should, it would be my suggestion. Anybody else have any input to that?
We don't want to drain a rainy day fund.
Right. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a lot of policy. Do we have any input? Let me see where we are right here. On any of the policies that are on this agenda. So the ones that are marked draft, and I don't remember if we ever decided if we were going back to first read, second read. And the ones that are marked draft, are they just that, a draft, or is it approving the draft to be the final?
Approving the draft to be the final.
Okay.
Can I ask for clarification? Are we doing, or is the board doing first read, second read?
We did, and then we decided not to, so I don't know where we're at with that, if we ever brought it back up for discussion. Did you have any input on that, Madam Chair?
Well, the policy 1410, 3330 F1, 3330 F2, 3330 F3, 4210, 4210P, 4210 F1, those have all been before the board before, so this is technically a second read on them.
Okay.
The 3330 forms were sent back to committee because initially they were brought forward as we need to get rid of them, but because they are under the board's governance, it was stated to take them back to policy committee. The changes have remained. There's no new changes within them. and administration gave input on all of those forms. 1410, there was significant revision within the policy to make it more, what's the right word, Jake?
I think the language that's in there now reflects the fact that the policy gets at a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the school use of, the community use of school facilities, that came before. And there was, I believe, just minor changes that were brought forward by Jessica, I think. I know the fees, that was of significant change, simply because our fee structure and all the different categories that didn't necessarily apply, we went down to basically where the fee just covers however you're going to fall into the use of the facility. It's streamlined and cleaned up a lot more. So, and that doesn't go out for community input because those are more along Jessica's continuum. Now, with the sick leave and the sick leave bank, I believe the sick leave policy came up at the last meeting, but I believe it was the intention initially for the sick leave bank to sit in its own policy. And the language that HR wanted corrected within the policy was within the sick leave bank, and it was simply a word change. So moving that over to its own policy allows the LEA to bring recommendations for changes should they feel the need to. So based on all of that, these are, for the most part, second reads, and that's pretty much where it sits.
Okay, thank you for that information. Does that clarify enough? Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that if I'm interpreting that correctly, it answers my question that we are going to a second read for approval, not just.
This would be for approval, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Except for in those instances like where it's finance, I mean, there's certain things like there, it just has to be what it is.
Yep.
There's a few of them, not a whole lot, but a few. Yeah, and the single word changes.
Can we look at the community use of school facilities procedures? I think it's time we start looking at charging the city for use of our facilities.
So you want to add that to an agenda
Yeah.
for in the future?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Trustee Quimby, could you repeat that? I apologize.
I think it's time we start looking at charging the city to use our facilities. They have a whole department of paid people. They have vehicles, they have a building, and we get nothing out of it except wear and tear. And our buildings are full of kids every weekend and every night. And we resurface our floors every year on the gyms, and we're not getting anything back, you know? We're just getting hammered. And that's not including janitor fees or anything, toilet paper, you know, all that stuff. And it's all skyrocketing right now. So we need to look at some kind of agreement where we're getting a little something back. I mean, I know we have agreements with them, but everything's too expensive anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But I think maybe we need to put dollars to dollar comparisons with the city MOU to see, you know, make sure that it's equitable, the MOU is equitable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's worth a conversation. I do want to remind the board, we benefit financially from our partnership with them too.
Right.
And so you're right, it's not a direct connection, and I do think that it's worth a conversation to reconcile exactly what those dollar amounts are. But I mean, just recently they waived all of our impact and permit fees for all of our projects here in Rathdrum.
Yeah, but that's the city. It doesn't cost them anything to waive a fee. It doesn't cost them a dime.
Well,
you
it
know.
costs them the fee that they would have collected.
They
Yeah.
still have to do the inspection,
And they still have
so
to inspect.
Yeah,
it does
I
cost
understand
them.
that.
They're still
It's-
paying the employee to go out and do the inspection, do the plan reviews.
Yeah, and so I use that as an
It
example.
just needs to be more equitable, that's all I'm saying, you know? I mean, we're charging other outside groups, you know, and I know they give us stuff too, and I understand that, but we can't continue to foot the bill all the time, you know, and we foot the bill.
So it's more of a, we need to look at the MOU and
Yeah.
everything.
Everything,
Okay.
yeah.
Just so our notes are correct, so we know, remember what we're gonna do next one.
So do you want to not approve this, table it for,
Yeah, just so we can have further conversation at policy committee.
Well, the reality is the fee schedule was readdressed to accommodate the community-supported programs that use our facilities as well. I think if we table it until we get back to the MOU without an understanding of when the MOU is going to be brought forward, we could be hurting other organizations that do utilize our facilities.
I don't care how we do it, it just needs to be talked about.
Okay, so are you fine with adding it to a future agenda,
Yeah.
bringing those things? Okay, so for tonight, we can go ahead and approve or deny these policies, whatever we're doing, and then we will make sure that there's an agenda item in the future to look at just this, these policies and the MOU with the city.
Okay.
yeah, I'm still a little stuck on the board superintendent relationship. So policy 1410,
Mhm.
Requiring the superintendent to provide the board with all information gathered to represent any matter brought before the board.
Okay.
I'm still stuck on the all.
Okay.
Like,
So what do you think?
I don't know, that's the problem.
Yeah, and I think everybody's went back and forth on that
Mhm.
because I think the intention was somehow to mitigate pertinent information that didn't make it to the board in the past. And there again, it's still a matter of trust, right, that they're gonna bring it or not.
Depends on what your definition of is.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the bottom line. You can write whatever you want to write in the policy, but there's still a certain amount of trust.
Would it soften the language instead of all to just simply say the? Because the intention would be that the superintendent should be providing the information that's been gathered for whatever is on the table, not only taking the avenue of just providing information to support the direction the superintendent wants to go or against what the superintendent wants to go. It should be a whole picture.
Right, and I fully understand that. I don't want the superintendent to be not complying with policy just because they don't, if it's a small matter that they're not, I don't know. It's a really weird sticking point. I just am having,
The, does the work or no?
yeah,
Because that changes it to being more subjective, so in the sense of
Whatever the is.
superintendent doesn't feel that this was part of the information he gathered, then the superintendent doesn't need to bring it forward. Whereas all is, objective.
Walk around with a recorder. Every time somebody says something.
Or do you want to table it and think about it? Maybe we could do that too. I know that's been the line that's been the most talked about, even when I was there that night, they worked on this, the second time, whenever it was.
Yeah, we can go with I'm okay with that.
So shall provide to the board so we'll get rid of with and all, the information gathered to represent blah, blah, blah. So whatever that information is. Are you sure you're good with that? Or?
It kind of sounds funny to even put the in there. Why can't, I think we could probably just, the superintendent shall provide the board with information gathered to represent any matter brought before the board.
Okay. So being that we're on this, do you have a motion?
I'll move to approve with the change I just verbalized.
I got you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a
Strip all
motion,
Strike.
including the modifications to the policy. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. That was policy 1410. Okay, on to the other policies. Do we have any discussion or clarification, or does anybody need any backstory, any discussion on any of the others? Or do you feel confident enough to motion for the remainder of the policies that are on the agenda? That would be,
So this is anybody providing a statement, a written statement. It's not just for students that are providing written statements.
It's under 3330, which is specific to student discipline. And so like we would infer that it only applies to students.
And do we always have a parent signature when we're asking a student to make a statement in relation to another student?
We do the very best that we can.
I would like to comment that it did come up in the committee that, from a parent, that when there is an issue at school and a parent is called in to have a conversation with administration, at that point, there is no disclosure of any student information other than what is specific to that parent's child. But yet these forms are provided and then there's student information on them. So the parent was a little cautious about the fact that, why, if we do student ID, but then we have a parent signature, you're gonna know who the student is. Or if we're writing student names and then we're given the form out, are we redacting the student and the parent signature? There was just a lot of, and it was good conversation with respect to who sees these forms, how much information are we giving out when we won't even tell a parent when they come in and they, when they're called in by administration, the principal, and they're said, your child was involved in an altercation. Well, the administration doesn't disclose information about these students involved. It's just your child, and I can't tell you who it was, but this happened. And yet we're having written forms. So the parent was just a little thought it very interesting that we have students fill out forms that parents sign, but yet we won't tell parents who's involved in altercations with their children.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Well, they can't.
Can I,
No,
can I make a comment on this?
Yeah,
For the other forms attached to 3330, it totally makes sense that it is attached to the policy. The behavioral support plan and then the notice of temporary suspension. The written statement form, just to put it very bluntly, it's more of a headache to do this in the formal capacity as it's presented than I think it is helpful to the investigative process. You know, and so my recommendation, as it was the last time it came before the board, would be to remove this from the policy actually and just allow it to be a part of the procedures that we have in and amongst our buildings, just to get rid of some of those tricky situations that we might be able to avoid.
So are you saying that you don't want a written statement form that we have because the buildings just say whatever they say to the students and the students write it down on a piece of paper?
I'm saying that the fact that it is a part of board policy makes it a little bit more formal than I think what it needs to be to still support a thorough investigation that is still well documented. You know, I mean, we have been taking student statements whenever there are incidents for a long time, well before this was a part of policy. I think this has only been a part of policy for the last 3 or 4 years. And you know, perhaps there was an incident that I'm not aware of, but I don't know how this helps. I don't know how this helps us support the intent of the policy.
Should a form like that have FERPA right there on it, right above, so people look at it and go, oh.
well, I
Does-
think
does
maybe
not.
we need to table it and bring it back, and I'll tell you why, because I think we need to be careful at all of the more recent, and I think that's where this form came from. In the last few years and this last year, all the new legislative changes to the laws for notifying parents, and there was something else, I can't remember, but it has become more and more, and that's where this came from, that the parents have to be notified, they have to be aware, like almost immediately. I think it's a 24-hour period, and it cannot go beyond that. So I understand what you're saying. It becomes too formal and too, I completely get that. I never liked the idea of kids having to give a written statement, period. I just don't think that they're old enough to understand that they don't have to do it.
Yeah, they've
You know?
created a record.
Right.
Well, that's my concern, is that's why I asked if parents, if we're always getting parent signatures, that kid has a right to not say anything, always.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm not sure that they're aware of either. I know it's been prior policy that it was always a great thing to write down your statement, but you don't have to incriminate yourself or anybody else, as a matter of fact. But is there any other discussion?
I would move to table this
Okay.
particular form.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table policy 3330 F1, the written statement form. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, on to the next one, which is the behavioral support plan. And this is basically a form that we already use and have been using.
We're just changing some
Yeah.
verbiage and adding
Just
some
cleaning it
additional.
up.
Yeah, yeah, making it a little.
I like the additional conditions addition of that too. So
Yeah.
I will move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. The next form is a notice of temporary suspension. Again, something we've sort of done, but I don't know that we ever had an actual formal form in the last couple of years. Any conversation about this notice of temporary suspension?
No, I wish that we could condense it onto one page. I'm all for having one page notices, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that was-
understand there's a lot of
Right.
information that needs to be included in
I
this.
tried really
Yeah,
hard.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
The other thing is though, I noticed that we do need to make sure that the final versions all have the page with the page count. 1 of 2, 1 of 4, whatever it is. All right, any discussion on Form 330, notice of temporary suspension?
Any thoughts on that? Jason?
It looks great. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the revisions, actually. This is much cleaner and easier.
Okay, I will move to approve as presented then.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The next is the community use of school facilities, which we sort of talked a little bit about this one, and we also
So the procedure is just the fee schedule, basically.
right. Well, the procedure, no, there's a fee schedule and a
Yeah,
procedure.
The procedure is
I
pretty
guess the
involved.
procedure is longer.
Yeah. Which is sort of the who, where, what, when, how.
Yeah, I think I had them
Yeah.
flip-flopped lengthwise in my head.
Yeah. It's actually 10 pages.
Yeah. And we're changing from 75% to 50%.
Yeah, in
Or
what
more.
area?
The fee categories for youth athletic
Yeah.
teams, it says with less than, it was 75%, but now we're saying 50% Lakeland Joint School District students.
Well, initially, we had categories 1, 2, and 3. So to simplify, because basically the fees weren't changing per categories, we went to either a non-fee category or a fee category. This was quite a while ago that we did this.
Okay.
And we dropped from 75% to 50% simply because the majority, well, not the majority, we have several club teams that, you know, that 75% marker, when you've got, 5 kids on a team versus 20 on a team, they requested that we lower it so that when you've got, half of the team is a Lakeland school, we can still benefit from using Lakeland schools and not having to make our club teams go to other surrounding neighboring districts, because they get a better rate than they would if they used Lakeland.
Any other conversation, discussion? What about the procedure or the fee schedule that also accompanies 4210? Any discussion? On any of that, we sort of went over it already, but we can bundle them all together. If anybody has a motion for,
I'll move to approve 4210 and 4210P as presented.
That-
Oh, yes, sorry. 4210
F1.
F1.
Second it.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And the sick leave and sick leave bank, which we had information about why that was done. Any discussion on those policies? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And then, so is this asking us to, there's no attachment, it just said add to the job description this item? Okay, as a duty?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the request for H8 clerk of the board job description, add district meetings as directed by trustees to the duties on the job description. I guess it doesn't exist in that language. Any discussion on adding that phrase?
Good enough.
Nothing? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
On contract timelines, I apologize. I missed Brooke's email with the attachment, so I did. She just brought it to my attention that I had missed it, so that is emailed to all of you, and I will add it to the documents.
Okay. And these are renew or contracts for staff and teachers, correct? Yeah, okay.
So, it logged me out. Oh,
Okay, so, you're gonna add this to the agenda then?
I'll
So-
add it to the
okay.
agenda packet, yes.
All right, so it's a recommendation for HR Director Cunningham regarding the contract renewals and dates for the 2026, 2027. They're gonna be issued using the 2025-26 salary schedule and placement figures due to timing and negotiations and being able to accommodate the teachers prior to summer break. The district proposes issuing contracts on Monday, June 8th, with signed contracts due no later than June 18. Upon completion and approval of negotiation, revised contracts for the 2026-27 school year will be issued if any adjustments to salaries or placement are required. Does anybody have any questions or need clarification, any discussion regarding the request? The contract deadlines?
How does this affect IBB?
Well, we will continue with the negotiations with IBB, and then once we're finished that, any corrections that need to be made, the contracts
Okay.
are reissued. Yeah.
Okay, it didn't say IBB there, so.
This actually helps give us a little bit of breathing room because
Right.
we're meeting the deadline required for us to get signed contracts returned.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the legislature There's a lot of unknowns right now, right? So, okay.
Right, that's why it says they'll be issued under 2025-26 salary schedule, so they can get all that done,
Okay.
accommodate everybody, and then we'll continue on, and then once IBD is finished, approval of negotiations was the language used, adjustments would be made.
Have
So-
we had to do that before?
It's the timing of negotiations.
Not in Reside Street.
I want to make sure.
Yeah, no, we haven't had to do that in recent history, but we did get kind of a late start, and also because of what's on the table at the moment for review, we just felt we needed to get those contracts out. It's already past what we normally do. We normally have contracts out before Memorial Day weekend. And when teachers leave, it's kind of hard to get them dialed in, and so this way, it'll give them a little bit of time, and it's on their radar.
Okay.
Thanks. I will move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, and then the county crisis mitigation plan. We have two drafts, two final drafts.
We have 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2.
Yeah, and these titles were as they were sent to us from the Office of Emergency Management. This, in my understanding, is just the annual adoption that the board does for the All Hazards Mitigation Plan for Kootenai County. And so I can't speak to what it has looked like in the past. I presume that the board has seen this for a number of years running now.
Right.
My understanding from conversations with OEM is that it's very similar to what has been presented in previous years.
Okay, is there any discussion on the 2026 AHMP Volume 2, Final Draft 1 and Final Draft 3? Do you have any questions? Need clarification?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, City Hall MOU discussion, is this related to what we spoke about earlier? Just as City Hall, I don't know who that refers to.
Yeah, so this is something that Jess and I wanted to put on the agenda tonight for discussion because the city has approached us again to see if the board is interested in entertaining a conversation about essentially like a property swap. They're still very interested in the hill that we own behind Mountain View. And they, as we all know, are going to be vacating their city hall. I know just from gathering information about how this conversation took place previously, I understand that there were some concerns about the condition of City Hall. Leon, their city administrator, has invited us to go and actually inspect that. It sounds like they've done quite a few repairs over there, specifically to the roof and to their HVAC units. And then they're also considering adding in a parking lot that's downtown to the deal as well. And so I want to emphasize that this is very preliminary. The city council, this is not like an official offer at this point. But we're just trying to set up both the board and the council for a productive conversation, or avoid it if the board is just uninterested in learning more at all.
So the discussion, and basically you're asking, is the board interested in meeting with the city to discuss the possibility of a land swap with the acreage behind Mountain View for possibly, maybe, City Hall and a parking lot?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I don't think it hurts to talk. I mean, obviously there'd be a lot of due diligence that would have to be done.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm always open to talking. What would the district do with City Hall?
Well, I mean, it's very early to say. And so I don't want to give the impression that we have any plans for this
Okay.
at all. But essentially it would be, I mean, it's set up to be office space and board space.
Okay.
And so that might be something that we consider. The fact that there's parking downtown might also be a very convenient thing. And so I think what drives our interest in just entertaining the conversation is the fact that right now we own that piece of property that for us is not, we don't have a plan to use that. And there wouldn't really be a way for us to develop it in a way that would be productive.
Sure.
So the city is very interested in turning that into a park, and that might benefit the community at large.
Yeah, I think we would have to know, value for value through appraisals and all those, but I mean, I'm open to the discussion.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
can talk.
The other thing is that the timeline would be, in my memory, I believe it would be more than a year out. And so we have plenty of time, like they're
Yeah.
not looking to offload this
Sure.
soon.
I think
Right,
their
sure.
certificate of occupancy is estimated for next July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, talking never hurts.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all we need, is just to make sure that the board understands that that's a conversation that can be had.
Right, and then the discussion for the mutual aid MOU.
Yeah, so this MOU is a thought that was shared amongst the Coeur d'Alene School District, Post Falls School District, in Lakeland, specifically amongst the teams that participate in emergency management planning together. We realized that, especially whenever we went through some joint trainings at the same time, that we all rely on the same county resources, specifically through the Office of Emergency Management. And should there be a large-scale crisis or emergency that happens in any one of our districts, we would likely be calling upon one another for mutual aid. The example that we reach to most often is school buses. If there was a need to transport a large number of students all at once, I mean, think about the population of any one of the high schools in the area, it would take more than the number of buses that are in a single fleet, right? And so, of course, we want to participate in partnerships that help surrounding districts, and so this MOU essentially spells out that we would be entering an agreement where we would all agree to the best of our ability, provide that mutual aid should there be a need. It also kind of establishes the Office of Emergency Management as the coordinator in the middle, and so it wouldn't be directly district to district. It would be a district superintendent to OEM, and then they would go out to the other districts to manage that communication from there. Legal has already taken a look at this policy. That happened early on in the process because, frankly, all three districts have the same attorney, and so somebody else got it started, and so it was just easy to get the feedback. But that attorney does recommend that we visit with our insurance company as the next step, just to have somebody else take a look at it and make sure that we're not agreeing to something that wouldn't ultimately be supported by our insurance if we incur a cost. And so that's what I'm seeking from the board tonight is, one, just any discussion or thoughts that you have about this idea, and then two, approval, however informal, to move forward with getting an additional layer of feedback from our insurance so that we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the conversation or talking to insurance, but I would question OEM being in between school districts. I think that this, a school district may need a translator, may need somebody there, because I can only imagine in the midst of something happening, all the acronyms that come out or the lingo that comes out, that they are not gonna have a clue what that is or what that means. That would be my only, removing school-to-school communication would be my only initial concern,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, I think the intent of putting OEM in the middle is just to add a layer of formality, especially since they are already very, very equipped in terms of like documenting resources that are dispatched for emergencies and keeping track of like how much that costs and what are the hours.
Right,
and
right.
what grants are available to reimburse for things like that. And so I think that they're just lending their expertise in the middle. One thing that does make me very confident with using them as sort of a middleman in this is we have a great relationship with them and train with them regularly already. And so specifically the director over at OEM, who's listed by name in the MOU, you know, I mean, I have a high level of confidence in her ability to communicate on our behalf should we be in a crisis situation.
Yeah, I think this would be something to, I would be curious also what the community would think, what parents, for their input. Because you really are talking about melding together. I mean, obviously we all help each other anyways, but I think it would be something that we should seek community input on, because it is a big step. You know, it changes the way we've done things in the past, and you know, so the parents, because I think a lot of them might have those that are aware of how, you know, everybody go to real life, or everybody go, you know, or at least let them know that this is a potential, or, I mean, that would be my only input with that, but I mean, if people are already doing it, and, I mean, I guess I would wonder what that actually would look like, you know, like, if there was a flow chart or something, like, what does it look like? How does it actually work, you know, in real life?
Jake, I thought when you brought this, you had said that Megan had recommended some changes in addition to having the insurance liability look at the contract. Were there any changes she wanted? Because if there was, we weren't provided with that.
I don't recall specifically.
Okay.
This is the document as it was sent to me from the group, and then as it was delivered to me from Megan O'Dowd after it was reviewed. I do know that she had, I do believe that she had some conversation with other districts who maybe just took it upon themselves to have that conversation, but I do not have any of those notes.
Okay.
All right, so what do you need from the board tonight for this? I mean, I know it's a discussion item, but what are you looking?
I mean, at this point, I feel like the board has spoken to, you're comfortable with us having this conversation,
Yeah.
moving forward with getting feedback from the insurance company. Of course, this would have to come back to the board for final approval
Right.
anyway, and so you would see it before anything else really was changed.
Okay.
So I feel very comfortable with where we're at right now.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any input on that, or we good to move on?
No, I think it would be a
Yeah,
good thing. It's sad that we have to have an MOU to,
help each other?
yeah,
Well,
for the 3 districts that are, you know.
and if I can just speak to that, that's where this came from is, I mean, I personally was a part of that conversation, and we all looked at each other and said, hey, we know that we're going to help.
Right.
We know that we're going to help. And it was actually OEM who was there who said, hey, if we all know that we're going to help, it might be a good idea, it might benefit your district to have something more formal in place so that you can actually track these resources. And so I hear where you're coming from totally, but know that I don't think it was for lack of willingness to help that we're
Right.
seeking this,
Yeah.
but just to formalize it a little bit.
Well, and that way we do let our community know
Right.
via these conversations
Right.
in,
Yep.
yeah, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than, I mean, more important than tracking the expenses or whatever it is. If it comes down to a need, we don't want the roadblocks to still be there, and then people go, well, we can't do anything until the board approves.
Because we don't know if it's okay to help.
Or the insurance
And now that,
company
now
approves it.
they would know
Yeah.
that, yep, we can move forward with
So
that.
that, kicking roadblocks out ahead of time is preemptive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, thank you.
All right, on to discussion item I3, which is the Lakeland Middle School parking lot. I guess we didn't quite clarify in our motion, or we approved the contractor, but we didn't approve the work. Well,
The subcontractor was approved, and we already are in an agreement with General Construction. So the way that the motion was done, it was to award the contracts to the subcontractors directly, which doesn't take into the entirety of the full scope of the project. I additionally was asked for additional items for the board, a more detailed budget breakdown for that, so that is also prepared in here tonight. I did realize that I didn't my internet went out when I was working on this, so I didn't catch that I missed part of a line item in here. So in the third paragraph for the informational summary, I said additionally we were able to save $188, but it's $188,598.56 on the standalone controls for the HVAC projects at John Brown and Lakeland Middle School. So in addition to getting the fees waived by the city, we also were able to save about $188,600 on the change in the controls that we did at those two schools.
I saw that 188.
I know.
Like, good job, Jess.
I apologize. I will own, I was working pretty late on this one because my daughter was with the state softball team. So I was up pretty late trying to get my board agenda done, and then I worked on it from my car in between games. So I apologize for the typo. But yeah, so what we really need to happen is to have the board approve the budget and the project so that General Construction can do a GMP amendment so we can move forward. If we are not able to do that tonight, this project will not take place this summer.
I thought we did. How did we miss it? I thought we did that. I remember talking the
It
numbers.
was specifically awarded to the subcontractors, so the concrete and it wasn't awarded to Geno to do the entirety of the project.
So the only change is to whom it's being awarded. No money difference.
It's the budget as well, because if you'll remember, the budget was slightly over, actually quite a bit over from what the original amount was in the the December 2024 packet that was put together. So we were asking for the additional authorization for the project, which we were able to get down from 682 to 600,000. So it was a $90,000 difference. But we were requested by Chair Thompson to bring back the lighting for the project specifically, which they were able to get that price dialed in a little bit more efficiently as well. So instead of the 682 that the original ask was for, the new ask in total, based on the budget breakdown on page 3, with the lighting included, is $656,489. If you would like to forego the lighting, it's $600,013. The initial budget for this project was $509,600.
Yeah, when it was brought forward at the last regular board meeting, there wasn't, within the board action item request, there wasn't an identification of what needed to be approved or who was supposed to be approved. So when we went through it, we were trying to figure out why the numbers that were being presented didn't match the documents that were being provided to us. Jess informed us that, well, when we approved things before, it included all the other amounts that were included in that, but she didn't have the supporting documents for that. The biggest thing was the lighting that she wanted to add to or recommended adding to the project, but we didn't have anything on the lighting. So when we did approve the subcontractors to move forward, it was at least my understanding that in that approval, we were moving forward with the project. Apparently, we needed to approve Geno Construction, not the subcontractors, which that wasn't very clear in our documents. So I think it was just an overabundance of miscommunication all around on this for what we needed to do when we first received it. But that being said, I mean, we have approved the subcontractors, we have approved the amounts prior to. There wasn't a breakdown of everything like we normally receive. It was just kind of a, I think it was just more of a hurried project to meet the deadline so that we can ensure that this project takes off and is accomplished before the start of the next school year.
I would like to state that it was prepared in the same manner that the previous projects were prepared. This one just didn't have detailed line items like the other one because it was literally a safety improvement was the line item that was approved in the budget. The other ones had more detailed line items as far as electrical and HVAC and things like that. So it was prepared in the same manner that the previous projects have been prepared. I did provide the additional requested information in here. The lighting, we can go either way. The parking lot doesn't currently have lighting. If that is the board's, it's the board's discretion to add the lighting. It's not terribly much more to add it at this point in time. We are laying the conduit for it anyway, so it's just a matter of the poles and the excavation for it.
There's not a city code or a requirement to add lighting when we work on this?
No, the permit was approved without it. And unfortunately, as the district isn't going to contract with the subcontractors, the district is contracting with Geno Construction. So the award to the subcontractors kind of bypasses the entire project. So that's where the request to approve it in the other manner. And I will make sure in the future that I include suggested language for the motion in my board packet items.
Were you here at that meeting?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I know, we had all this discussion,
Yes,
so.
we did.
Yeah.
I was supposed to bring it back the next week, but that
Yeah.
it did end up coming to fruition, so
Okay.
here we are.
Okay. I think in the future, if we run into this same thing, it would be nice to have verbatim the motion that was actually made, or a heads up of where it was, so we can go back and listen what was actually said. The other thing is, so on page 3, the 509,000
Was the original.
was the
budget.
original, but we're now at the 682,284, which does include the lighting.
The 682,284 was what was presented at April 29th, but we had determined that there were some items that we could remove from the project. We didn't have as detailed of a breakdown of it for you on April 29th. We requested Geno to provide that documentation, which is where the deletions from the project is. So the initial request was 682,284. When you factor in all the deletions and the reduction in fees, it brought it down to $600,013. If you were to include the bid alternate 1, that includes the light poles and the excavation support, that brings the project to $656,489.
Which is still less than the original 680. That's what I'm trying
Yep.
to get at. So
Yep.
now, you can add the lights and everything, at still less, 30 grand or so less, 25 than what it was for the
Right.
entire project last
The
time.
issue is it's just above what was initially budgeted.
Yeah.
So I'm asking for approval of the new budget, which would also allow us to do a GMP amendment with Geno Construction with your approval to get the work done.
Okay,
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you
You
very
Any
got
much.
that?
opposed?
Well done.
Thank
Any
you.
opposed? I didn't hear any. Okay, motion carries.
Appreciate it.
Did we get the right names in there? I hope so. Oops. Okay, sorry guys, I just kicked myself out. All right.
We're on the LMS PA
Yep.
position.
Oops. Yep, I just got back in.
Okay.
Okay, possible action, LMS PA position.
So this item is something that I am going to ask the board to take action on, I guess depending on the discussion. Again, at the April 29th meeting, it was presented, unfortunately I was not able to be at that meeting, but it was presented that due to some legislative updates around staffing definitions, we felt like we were potentially going to be in a position to have to move some staff around and change some titles to recoup as much funding as we could get from the state for those current positions. The good news is we've received more clarification about that process. Our recommendation at this point is to leave all of those positions, the PAs specifically, just status quo, exactly as they are. The State Department of Education has done a great deal of work with the legislators who sponsored and wrote the bill just to get clarification around that language and the intent of the law, and we're able to finally provide some written guidance to us.
I was gonna ask, do we have it in writing?
We have it in writing, yeah, as of maybe 2 days ago. And so that's a huge relief, that's a great thing. However, as a part of that conversation, what was brought to light, I believe, is the need that Lakeland Middle School has for an additional actual administrator instead of a principal assistant. Right now, the LMS enrollment is very near to that of Lakeland High School. They're only off by, less than 100 kids. And we know that there are great efforts at Lakeland Middle School right now to reinvigorate some programming, take care of student needs, and we just believe that that is the best way to support that school moving forward, is to make sure that they have 2 assistant principals instead of an assistant principal and a PA.
So you're asking for a principal and 2 principal assistants at Lakeland Middle School?
2 assistant
A principal
principals.
and 2 assistant principals.
So we would be upgrading a principal's assistant to an assistant
Oh,
principal.
well, it says PA position.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it
'cause
would be
currently-
upgrading the
Currently, it
current
is a
PA.
Yeah.
It also is timely because that position is vacant as of just a couple of weeks ago. And so the reason why I'm asking for action tonight is because we would like to be able to post that position as an assistant principal instead of a PA.
What's the cost difference between the 2?
23,000 depending on experience.
23,000.
Wow. So that's quite a raise just because they changed some language. Okay. And that's just $1, that is 23,000 additional dollars for the same person to do the same thing, but because they changed the language, we have to change.
No, they're just
The-
wanting to upgrade it ended up not being because of the language, it's actually because of
The need.
the need at the school.
Right, but we
We
can't
believe that
take
it's
the
needed.
same person and do that because they changed the language.
No, the position is open.
Yeah, so
Right,
this is an
I get
oppor-
that, yeah.
Please.
I apologize. We were able to utilize some vacant positions to help offset for this as well. So the difference is there, but we're able to utilize some vacant positions that we're not going to refill to help offset the additional cost.
Okay, what positions were those, do you know?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
I apologize.
Ultimately, based on the workload, and I will continue to lean into the student population there is growing, which is a good thing. That's what
Right.
we need. We believe that it is fair to grant that person administrator status so that they have the benefits, the expectations, and also the authority to do the job that we need them to do to continue to run that school effectively.
Would there then be no principal assistants? They would just be assistant principals at the middle school?
At Lakeland Middle School, yes.
Okay.
And actually, that is already the case at Timberlake, yes.
I would
Well-
like more information on what positions we wouldn't be hiring back.
It's little pieces of positions that went unused, so it's not,
But for this year, they were unused.
so we're just gonna adjust position control.
What about next year?
They're not needed.
So that's what I'm saying, is
Yes.
what positions are going away that aren't needed?
Right.
So the population's increasing and we don't need we don't need those positions?
It's a couple classified positions. One of them is and I apologize, I'm on the spot with this one, but I
Oh,
know
you're
there
fine.
was like some crossing guard time that we weren't using, things like that we're able to utilize for this.
not necessarily positions that were specifically designated for that school, but leftovers that we had from around. And so, for example, the crossing guard position that Jess referred to is like a few hours a day that was actually assigned to the district office in position control because we managed that, but we have not needed that position this year.
So,
Have we been short crossing guards?
No. In fact, I believe that we have done pretty well this year with our crossing guard situation. We have just changed the way that we have assigned that duty in district, and so that we're not relying on outside people nearly as much to come in and show up on time. Instead, we've given those additional hours to current staff in the building who are able to just go out and do that duty before or after their normal working hours. And it's really increased efficiency quite a bit.
how many more weeks or days do we have left of this school year though?
2 weeks after this week.
So, we can't make it 2 weeks without this position, or you're hiring for next year?
For next year.
I want to post it.
Yeah, we want to post it.
Okay. So we don't have a person that we're gonna slide into the spot, we're gonna post the opening, get
Correct.
applications, go through the hiring process.
Correct.
And because of the need of the population growth, that's where the difference in pay is the 23,000, which came from little, whatever it was, crossing guards or whomever
Yep.
throughout the district that we didn't hire back. Or didn't need to utilize or what have you. Well, I understand you need to post a position. I just feel like we're so crunched right now with IBB and everything else, and yeah, does anybody else have any input or discussion?
No, it's just a hard decision.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm gonna need more time on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Being that we don't have a motion,
Well, and it was just a possible action item, so
Yeah.
we don't have to act if there's no motion.
yeah, so I guess if you send us more info,
Yep, I can do that.
you know, a little bit more detail of, we understand the need, the population, all that, but maybe, you know, give a little bit more detail, that would be great. Public records, well, I guess before I move to public records, did anybody else have any other input or questions? Need clarification? No, okay, we can move to public records, I-5, for discussion item.
Yeah, some concerns have been brought up with public records and redactions and how, let's hope I get this right, all pages are redacted. There needs to be some clarification. If there is a public request, then we don't, if there's a page above or below the request that falls outside of the scope, then it's completely blacked out, correct? That's how it works?
No,
If it's not in the scope of the dates.
no, if there's nothing in the scope of the dates, there's nothing to produce. If they come across, and we had the attorney does a lot of the redactions, and I know there were whole pages of items that were redacted, but that was the attorney. We did not do that.
Okay.
Or the district, I should say, the board doesn't do any of it. But the redactions happen based upon pertinent information that cannot be disclosed to the public. So it could be a variety of things. It could be people's names, addresses, health condition, you know, whatever.
Right.
If there's specifics that would expose certain identifiable things, but the majority of that's handled by the attorney. The attorney's office does a lot of that.
And so how does our clerk fall into that? As a custodian of a record, she has to produce all the records to send them to the attorney?
Well, I can let her talk, but typically what happens is the records request comes in, she does act as a custodian of records, but then depending on what it is, say somebody wants all invoices for a certain month, she would just go to Jessica and say, give me all this, and Jessica would say, okay, or they don't exist, and then she's basically just the finger filer, or if they're email, she goes to IT and says, here's the request, blah, 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 and they do that request, and then if there's stuff there, then they would give it to her. If there's nothing there, she doesn't get anything, and then she just says, there were no records, you know, whatever. The attorney has all that language that they give her, but she, I mean, if she has anything else she could put in, but she's not specifically getting the information, redacting the information, she's not doing that, and she doesn't make, well, it is
For
not.
simple redactions, do you do
For simple
simple?
redactions,
Yeah.
we do. So,
So like
And I
an
mean-
email, like an email chain, right? Would you do that?
most of the
really
time, yes.
Because
depends on the nature of,
The email.
I'm just saying like a
Yes.
conversation between you and I,
yeah.
right? Would she get that and say, oh, it's between Dave and Jake?
If Dave and Jake were talking about a student issue, no, the attorney would do it.
Right.
And here's the thing, she might do simple redactions, but what I was going to say was that she does not decide what fits the bill or doesn't fit the bill, so to speak, you know? That would be other people who's getting it, but I get what you're getting at. People think that
Yeah.
we're telling her what to redact to
Exactly.
hide information. I get it, because we already heard that, but the one that brought all this forward, all those pages and pages of blank, and I do know that there was pushback to the attorney saying, hey, this doesn't look right. The attorney wouldn't budge,
Okay.
you know? But I think, because I've heard this before, I think what you're getting at is people don't like the idea that the clerk is also the custodial of records.
Right.
They think it should be a separate.
Kind of,
And in years past, it's always been the same person, but I understand as the community grows, maybe we do need to look at another way or something, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge that this has become a very complicated conversation for us, just because of timing and circumstances and things. You know, both Sarah and I have, more me than Sarah, have had a pretty steep learning curve with responding to certain public records and what those specific rules are. And so I will say that we've leaned into legal counsel more than what we usually would have, just so that we can get up to speed. Part of what has made this learning curve a little bit more complicated is that we're seeing that there has been an inconsistency in how the district has responded previously. And so that's another layer that we're trying to remedy. Some of those things that have been on blast recently are not, I don't mean to pass the buck, but like that,
Right.
I cannot answer for those things. And neither can our clerk. And so I think that we are working very diligently and doing the right things to get back on the path that is transparent and timely and responsive. And so I don't want to take over too much and not let you speak as well, Sarah, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, it's just been a really interesting process. And a lot of it has to do with the order in which events have taken place. Yeah, it's been really complicated because as we've been receiving requests, I've been referencing previous similar requests to find out how those were navigated by the staff at that time. And it created a lot of questions as to what is the best practice, how we should be moving forward and doing things, because to be frank, the way it's been done in some of these cases where we're looking at just black squares on paper, that's not within the spirit or the scope of the Public Records Act. And I believe, as I know everyone here, trustees and staff included, we want to be completely transparent and also be very careful of the fact that we have to protect student information, personnel information, and things that are discussed with legal counsel for potential current or future legal purposes. So that kind of creates a frustrating situation where we're trying to be upfront and honest. I do have, I have a pretty well documented timeline of events that I would be happy to go through with you guys, either tonight or at a later date, to kind of show how it's been turned into the story that it has become currently. And I think that that would be something important for the community as a whole to hear as well.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and I would like to point out that the clerk of the board used to also be the executive assistant of the superintendent. But then as we grew, we separated the executive assistant and clerk of the board. So I don't necessarily know that it is the clerk of the board's responsibility to be the custodian of records. As well, it may be the executive assistant of the superintendent, given that the district governs and oversees records requests. I don't know. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there because we have always appointed the clerk of the board, but in past, the clerk of the board has also been the executive assistant of the superintendent. But that position, that became two positions approximately 5 years ago.
Right, when the district was smaller, everybody had to wear multiple hats. But as the district grows, then maybe we have to change with those. But yeah, and there has been times, I know, with people's frustrations that even some trustees have pushed back on, and legal just wouldn't budge from it. It's like, yeah, they just wouldn't. They still insisted the whole page be black, dates and all.
I do want to say and acknowledge for the record that it absolutely is an operation of the district office and not the board of trustees to deal with public records, and that is how we handle things. You know, you mentioned that our district grew, and that is an explanation for why we split the executive assistant and clerk of the board. I believe it's very standard practice around the state, and even in other states, for the clerk of the board to be the custodian of records.
It's typical in municipalities too, that
Yeah.
the city clerk is also the...
I would really object to adding that to the executive assistant's job title. I mean, we mentioned multiple hats, and with the decrease in levy and the decrease to the district office staff, I don't believe that would be a responsible thing for us to do. That said, I also feel for the fact that right now for our clerk and custodian of records, like, this is a whirlwind. Like, there is a heavy workload in public records right now. And we're hopeful that as we get our processes dialed in, that will become a little bit more streamlined and a little bit easier.
Right. Any further discussion on the public records? Let's go ahead and move forward to forensic IT security audit. Discussion item.
Is Michelle still there?
Yeah, Michelle's still here.
Yep. Do we have a discussion on this, or that's just something we're looking at doing and it was FYI?
Yeah, it was a recommendation from legal counsel to consider doing an IT security audit. And I don't know what the position of the trustees are given, it's challenging to have to discuss this in open session.
I can say this, we are obligated under statute to maintain a secure, whether it be network, a filing cabinet, a closet, whatever, documentation when it comes to students and staff and all that. That's clearly laid out in statute. Also, I do believe too that according to the Idaho State Board of Education and their recommendations, that it also does fall upon the board to make sure that we abide by K-12, NIST, all those other security protocols. And also there is security protocols under FERPA in the federal government when it comes to students and technology. So yeah, this is something I know I've brought up quite a few times, since I've always been concerned, and then we would hear things in the public about student access to forbidden sites. Not just because we don't want them watching, cartoons, but really bad things. And I agree, I can agree with legal counsel, and it's something that the board's we have no idea how secure or not secure our network is. We have lots of access points. What I mean access points, things that can be accessed via Wi-Fi or any kind of online electronic thing, even the little card readers that you're swiping in and out to get out in school. To the board approved a few years back the vape detections in the restrooms, to everything we do, all the hot spots, every piece, every app that's used, so every communication app, every electronic app, everything the teachers use in the classrooms for kids, those are all possible vulnerabilities. And I have never, although we have asked, seen any type of annual security audit by our IT department or anybody else. And I've never seen any, the board's just never seen any of it. So I would have to agree that this is something that I would think would be done on, maybe not to the forensic. You need an initial forensic to see where you stand, but annually there should be always a security audit, because there's no way to guarantee that everything that we have stored in this district is secure. It's just impossible. And I guess it's sort of always impossible, but at least if you're doing this annually, you can guarantee based upon the annual thing, and then that's why you have insurance to help you with those things that might be found later. But we know, as a board, just a few of the phishing emails that we've got. There's also, the social engineering emails or calls when somebody says, hey, it's so-and-so, can you try and log into that for me or do this or what, we know those have happened. So, I think, again, because they've grown so big, and I think more electronics became utilized, a few years back. Moving forward, I do think it's prudent to do such a thing. It's no different than making sure all of your locks on your doors work,
Right.
And your windows.
Yeah. But if
So
there's, go
to
ahead.
move forward on a forensic IT audit,
Mhm.
or IT security audit, what measures should we take?
Well, we would need to contact, the one I had said before, Ryan Montgomery's pen tester company, and I don't know him personally, I just know of his credentials and the many years in the industry, from black hat hacker to white hat hacker, and also he runs an organization that hunts down people that are not nice to students or children. So that would be my recommendation, but people, companies of that caliber and in that space, if you want to do it properly, if you really want to make sure it's secure And that when you hand the students or whoever a device, or when you install a device, that it is secure. That nobody's gonna hack it. They hack these devices all the time, the ones, I know ours, I don't know if we have, but I know, for instance, the vape detections that were put in the bathroom, some schools do have the video so they can identify the student who might be causing the offense. Well, those are hacked all the time, and then people hack in, they turn the video on, they video the students in the restroom, and then they sell them on the black market. They hack into lots of things to gain access to video cameras to...
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
Because I'm trying to understand the scope of this. Has there been an incident that maybe is prompting this? Like, I guess I'm hearing about card readers and vape detectors and access points. I totally understand. We take the same approach to security in our schools. Like, we do an annual security audit of the actual physical environment, and that's necessary. So I get where you're coming from. To help me understand the scope, has there been an incident that we're responding to?
Not this time, but in the past, yes. So we had numerous reports from community members that students with our Chromebooks at school and off-school premises were accessing pornography.
Okay.
Sharing it with their friends. We've had reports of other things in the past. So yeah, and that's why we've...
In the past, like previous school years, or
yeah,
is this
like
a
last
current,
school year.
Okay, so not something that parents are currently reporting.
I haven't heard nothing lately.
I haven't heard anything this school year, but they were consistently, and then, it just sort of fizzled out.
Okay.
'Cause
Because we are not aware of any of those reports, and so I do want to make sure if those reports are happening, we want to be made aware immediately.
Administration was aware of all prior reports. They
Okay.
were aware.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, they were aware. And yeah, bus incidences, and yeah, they were aware.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so the board is aware and had taken that to admin and have asked several times, and if the district feels they don't need it, but I think the board needs to, if the district doesn't want the board to pursue that, I guess we need to know that too, because the board can't take responsibility saying something's secure when we have no way of knowing that. There's no proof, right? There's no expert, literal expert, that can come forward and give us the documentation or certification that says, yep, this is good, or, here's the things that are bad and maybe we need to fix that. I don't know. I guess it's sort of, like the law when you call the police officer when there's obviously something going to happen and they can't do anything because no crime has been committed. I mean, I guess we can wait for that to happen. But I'm concerned that that we wouldn't feel a necessity even if we have students with our school devices accessing pornography.
I guess I don't mean to give the impression that we
Yeah.
want to wait for an incident to happen, but I do want to be cognizant of the fact that, based on the things that I'm hearing, I'm inferring that this is a large scope, a big project, and would incur quite some cost.
No, not necessarily. It's not that big. It would, because it's digital, it's not, I don't even know how many people you may or may not have to have on site. It's very, you're connected. Nobody has to be here to penetrate the system. That's the thing. They could be in the parking lot, they could be at Taco Bell, they could be in, France.
Okay.
You're exposed because you have an internet connection. And we don't know. The board's not saying, yeah, go do it. We're just saying, is this something we should look into? And if so, then we need to get, I just take it over like I knew. But we need to get, like everything else, we need to know, is there a cost? What does it look like? Blah, 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 all those kinds of things. But in order to get that, you have to have that discussion with the companies,
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not an action item, it was just a discussion, I don't understand the pushback though, every time we bring it up. That's what
Well,
concerns me is that
We've also had
we should be so
people accessing our
concerned.
Google Drives without
Yeah,
being employees.
yeah,
So-
we should be very concerned what,
I'll explain my line of questioning. I don't mean for it to be pushback. Is one, this is not my area of expertise, right? And so it sounds big, it sounds
Yeah.
in-depth, and it sounds like a big project. I also want to be very careful that we are not giving the impression that there has been a recent breach or a recent concern with pornography or student access or anything like that, because in my impression, based on my conversations with our directors and our leaders in our district, is that's something that was handled in the past. We're doing pretty good about it right now. And then I also want to be really careful just to present that security audits and in network security also does not address human behavior either. And so we can have a very secure network and we can still have a student who tries to get to something, and that is a behavior concern that we deal with separately. So Trustee Grissom, I don't mean to push back on this, but it is an area that I don't understand fully.
yeah.
And so I want to understand just very specifically where the board is coming from so
Yeah.
that we can
Yeah.
have the
Well, for me
conversation.
personally, it's been something I've been trying to get done for 7 years because, sorry, I'm done.
Your security system needs a baseline. That's what the forensic audit is, right? It finds everything that's a hole in the system, and now you know where they are, you fix them, if there are any. And then you can go on from there with just maintenance.
Monitoring.
And watch out for it, as opposed to, we don't know what's out there if
Right.
we haven't done it.
You don't know, that's the thing, is we don't even know what may have been done. My thing is, we have 4,500 students that we unleash to the world every day. How do we know they're safe? How do we know that? We get phishing emails that say, hey, so-and-so, using district employees' email names and everything. Weird, I'm trying to help my dad move, can you buy this stuff? Sure, no
Yeah,
problem.
that happened to
You
me.
know, we get emails that are, unless you're attuned to it, you don't realize what they are, We've had staff who had emails sent saying, hey, can you go reset your password because something happened to it or whatever. The clerk herself was having problems in her own. Every half hour she was being asked to reset a password. And I guess my thing is, and we don't have to do it, but to me it's very dangerous. And I don't understand why nobody sees in this day and age with everything we have going on, and they don't want to know if the danger even exists or not. How dangerous is it? Maybe it's none at all. But, there's 4,500 students that,
The thing is,
who knows what's
Jake,
going
is
on?
She's been bringing it up for 5 years.
7 years.
Since I've been here, for 5 years. Every year she brings it up, but nobody listens. There is problems. I mean, even with the Chromebooks, last year we heard about it, and then staff telling me it's been going on for years, and nobody did nothing about it. So, I mean, it's not like we're not making it up. So there's obviously something there to look at.
And even if there wasn't, even if we never had any report of anything, and here's where I came from initially, we should be doing this. We're required under law, federal law, state law recommendations, to do this. To not do it, is, I just don't understand why not. Like you said, we do everything else, why are we not making sure? Why are we not doing those things? But in order to move forward, we would have to do, contact people, set up interview, or, same thing, quoting process, all that kind of thing.
Proposals.
Right,
Yeah.
What is the expectation, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't even ask for it to be put on there, so I just sort of took over
Yeah. I
The
mean,
conversation, I didn't know it was, you know.
we can certainly have the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not trying to stand in the way of that happening. We can go and, like I said, have the conversation, get some preliminary information, and bring this back for discussion.
Yeah, in theory, you should be able to walk to IT and grab a manual that has everything in it. Well, we haven't ever seen that either. So I don't, they could all be being done, you know?
Okay.
Silence is permission, right?
Sometimes.
To not say anything,
Yeah.
just say, that's okay.
Yeah.
We keep growing our digital presence more and more and more within the classroom, within our students, within our buildings, within the district office. We keep growing it, but we don't take any measures to make sure that everything's protected. Other than the standard norm of what we've always done, which we have found that standard is insufficient. And so in doing a forensic IT security audit at the recommendation of legal counsel, due to just things that have transpired recently, it's about protecting the students and this district. It's not a negative at all. It's just ensuring that, you know, if there's nothing that we're doing wrong, great, we get a pat on the back. If there are areas that we need to improve, then we take the action to improve, and the improvement is for the protection of the students, the staff, and the district as a whole. There's nothing negative about this.
Well, and the fact that, yeah, and I forgot you said that, the fact that legal counsel said it's something we should do, I mean, they obviously are concerned about something. I mean, I don't know why else they would recommend it, but being that there's no action, it's just a discussion item, I guess we'll, I guess we need to look around and find some people, being that it came at the recommendation of legal counsel. At least we can say we did that, so we're not ignoring their recommendation. I mean, that would be
Right.
and it doesn't hurt to get numbers and talk to people.
Can we have the clerk look into this as far as what
Yeah.
it would,
Sure.
what it would take,
Sure.
what it would cost, etc.?
Yep, I'm fine with that. Anybody else have any input on that, or as far as having the clerk go ahead and look into it, or find companies or what have you to see what the cost would be? And
Not something that's typically the responsibility of the clerk, but if that's what I would.
Well, is there someone else we can have look into it? I mean, because it's something that we're asking for, that's why I recommended the clerk.
because the board, yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to look into this and get some preliminary information.
Sure. These are typically
So when we're getting quotes, yeah, it's typically the CFO that gets quotes, and
Sure.
but I think even all of you working together to develop kind of a plan to be fine.
Okay.
So then the clerk and the superintendent and the CFO will work on this collaboratively? Is that what I heard you say,
Yes.
Randy?
Yep.
We're happy to do that. Yeah.
Alrighty, policy status sheet, thank you very much for that. It's very tiny.
I know, it's very tiny. So as you are aware, I have been, and as you saw earlier in tonight's meeting, we've been working to figure out where policies were left in between staffing changes.
Mhm.
So I've currently been able to audit and document back to November. The spreadsheet that you have, while tiny, I'm hoping you can
Yeah.
increase
Yeah,
your
we
zoom.
can,
It gives you kind of an idea of what all is out there. I've also been keeping track of mentions of having certain topics brought to policy committee to create policy, all of those pieces. Some of the policies that were approved were uploaded into the district's website management software, but were not actually swapped out with what's in there. So that's another
Oh.
part of the audit that I'm
Okay.
trying to get my arms around. At this point, the struggle has been understanding what the board's priorities want to be based on what's been kind of lingering out there and what I've shown in the spreadsheet currently. So I am looking for direction on what you would like to prioritize so that I can make sure that those topics are brought correctly to committee.
Well, we definitely have the list of the annual reviews, that we need to stamp those annual. And then any changes in statute this year and corresponding policies, and I know there are big changes in parent something or other, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but they updated, actually I think they created a whole nother Parental Rights Act, but called it something else. So both exist now, there's two actually, and also maybe Jake or somebody remembers, the state superintendent said there was a piece when they're reworking all of the departments, there was a piece that used to be done locally, but they moved that now to the State Board of Education, and I can't remember what that was.
I would have to look at my notes.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
it was
remember
a,
either.
yeah, I would have to look too. It was a, yeah, and I can't remember what it was, but if that affected any of our policies, I mean, that would be my thing. Whatever's changed in law, we obviously need to update appropriately. And then we always just relied on like the financial stuff from the CFO or add HR stuff from the HR director. Then we had food service was always, you know, sort of in charge of that block of food service. So we tried to, you know, whoever had that department, it was like, there's your policies, you know, if you need any changes or, and then those things that were for the board were, you know, like the law changes, you know, you have to have a curriculum committee, your committee has to look like this, you have to blah, 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 all those kinds of things, you know. And then we just, I mean, in the past, then what we did was, then we had that group that hadn't, you know, that still hadn't been touched, but they weren't, you know, we would just pick from them ever so often and throw one or two of those in the mix, trying to get through all of them.
So in terms of what's on the spreadsheet currently, those are all things that have been either mentioned to discuss, they've had some work done in committee. I have one that I believe is pending legal review. There's just a few, we got through a good chunk tonight, but I think like number 15 through 30 through number 20 are all kind of, we're half worked in committee, and so I'm just, because there's only an hour and a half to get through a committee meeting, and so I'm just looking for direction from you guys on this list. What would you like us to be looking at sooner instead of later?
Definitely the grievance policy where you have unsure. The reason that kept getting backburnered was there was an expectation of a statute change, and it actually got backburnered with our legal counsel, our local legal counsel. they didn't want us to do anything with it until they were more confident. So we definitely at some point need, I mean, that's been a few years now, like 2 years, you know,
Okay.
since those changes are happening. I think the issue was the steps in the grievance procedure. You know, like what if the grievance was against the superintendent, or what if the grievance was against, I forget what it was, but there was something in the hierarchy, like the person that was in charge of all the grievances, well, what if the grievance was against that person? You know,
Right.
then how do we handle it? But it's been a while since I looked at that one. I think that one would be fairly important.
In what I've been able to review of notes, it looks like student dress was something that you guys wanted to address. But the timing of it wasn't great because it was the middle of the school year. Is that something that you guys want to have looked at sooner instead of later?
Yes, because we don't want to go into a new school year without that being reviewed and updated if necessary, because parents school clothes shop
Yeah.
in the summer. They don't wait till after school starts to do so.
I do want to add, we presented that to all of our principals today and just let them know that it was on the table for review. And so over the next week or so, we should have some feedback just from the buildings on how
Great.
things are going with that policy.
Along that similar line of thought, I know that at some point we'll be looking at hiring bus drivers, and you guys had discussed the CDL issue.
Yeah.
So I currently have that lined up to bring to committee on June 1st. If that is still one that you want to prioritize, and so maybe we can start with the grievance, the student dress, and the CDL issue.
Yeah.
And kind of table some of these others that were in progress until we get those 3 addressed, unless there's another take on this giant list.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that some of these, sure, I'm fine with that. I'm just wondering, some of these might be able to go, like the instructional goals, I don't know what the work on that was, but that might be something that we can just put out there for staff feedback, and I don't know if something, why that came up, but that's what I would do. Any of these that, I don't know if there was statute change, seems like there was regarding the sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. I'm not sure why that was brought back, but
I think it was something that was being worked on in committee, but never quite made it back to you
Couldn't
guys for
finish.
action.
okay.
But again, it's hard to track through
Right.
all the different meeting notes, so if there's another
Right.
perspective, please let me know.
Yeah, I think you're fine with, definitely the student dress, because we're almost out of school going into next school year. And the bus driver, the CDL thing, I think is fairly important, just because we didn't have one.
Okay.
And that would be something we can work with them on it. I'm fine with that.
Okay,
That sounds good to me. Anybody else have any input?
Nope, I'm good.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, dates to remember, May 21, IBB negotiation, May 29, Mountain View graduation, June 1, Policy Committee, June 2nd, Timberlake High School graduation, June 3rd, Lakeland High School graduation, and then June 8th, Policy Committee, June 15 is our budget hearing, and then June 17 is the regular board meeting. Okay, we have the 1 member input we got earlier when we were having the policy discussion. Is there any other input for future agenda items?
I do not
I
have
got
any.
nothing.
Okay, on that note, then I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session per Idaho's Code 742061D, as in Delta.
So
And
moved.
B, as in Bravo.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, a roll call vote?
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead? Trustee Thompson?
Are you there,
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes, sorry, I
Okay.
couldn't find my.
Okay, Trustee Grissom?
Yes.
Trustee Quimby?
Yes.
Okay, on that note, then we will take a short break and enter into executive session. All right, we have come out of executive session. It's 9:59, and I believe we have action after executive session that we need to take. I'll entertain motions.
I move to approve both the 25, 26, and 26, 27 annual crisis plans as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And I believe we have one last order of business that I need a motion on.
I move to terminate personnel 05.20.26B.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Actually,
Roll call.
Ramona, I'd like to do a roll call vote, please.
Okay. A roll call vote on that motion and second for the termination.
Trustee Bain?
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead?
Yes.
Trustee Thompson?
Yes.
Trustee Grissom?
Yes.
Trustee Quimby?
Yes.
Is there any other order of business? None. Okay, it is 10 p.m. and we will adjourn.